Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Conference Chatter TV, where it might have taken 3 weeks, but finally I have had a good week to pick college football games in the Big 12 Conference. Finally going 10-1 this past week, and week 3, I am pleased with that performance. My name is Eric Sorrentino. Thanks for checking out another episode. You can follow my stuff at kusports.com. Well, this week we are on site here at the Hill at the University of Kansas, and I wanted to go over some reaction from week 3, where it was a pretty successful week. Like I said, 10-1, not too bad. On the season, we're 26-7, so looking at 78% after that nice week 3. Well, I lost one game this past week, and that was Connecticut at Baylor. The Huskies prevailing 30-22 in Waco, and I just can't seem to pick Baylor's games right. I picked Wake Forest to beat them at home, and Baylor won that one, so I don't really know what to think of the Bears at this point, but the difference in this one was Baylor lost 2 fumbles, and Connecticut's just a very sound football team. I mean, they run the ball effectively, and they turned both of those Baylor turnovers, those fumbles, into touchdowns. And they had 2 guys, Connecticut I'm talking about, 2 guys who rushed over 100 yards, just a very sound football team. And Baylor had difficulty stopping that run, and that was kind of the difference of that game. So we'll see. I mean, can't pick them all right, I guess, so I'll take that one loss. I wanted to go over some other games, though, because there were some really interesting ones. None more interesting, in my opinion, than Virginia Tech against Nebraska. Virginia Tech winning by 1 at home. I picked them to win, but anybody who watched that game knew that Nebraska pretty much dominated that game throughout, particularly on defense. Here's what I'm thinking about if I'm a Nebraska fan. I'm thinking that the Huskers defense made Virginia Tech just look anemic on offense. They had 1 total yard in the 3rd quarter. And Ndamukong Suh was just a force inside. 8 tackles, half a sack, 4 batted passes. Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback of Virginia Tech, not the tallest of quarterbacks. It seemed like Suh was just in his way the entire game. Virginia Tech did not do much on offense. And then again, if I'm a Husker fan, I'm looking at Roy Helu, 169 rushing yards. But the difference of the game is when Nebraska got down deep in Virginia Tech territory, could not convert it to touchdowns. 4 field goals by Alex Henry. Look, he's a great kicker, probably the best in the nation, but when you get down deep, 4 field goals, there's the difference of the game. Another drive I remember late in that game was Nebraska got way down. I think they had 1st and goal from the Virginia Tech 6. Not for long. They had 2 holding penalties on the offensive line, 2 more false starts, and after that they were looking at 2nd and goal. I think they had an incomplete pass too. So 2nd and goal from the 36-yard line, and they ended up punting on that possession. You could look at that as well. And that was just a wild game. And then, of course, at the end, Tyrod Taylor, after having just an awful game, making plays when it counts. Of course, that 80-yard bomb down the sidelines to set up that touchdown where he must have, was it like a 10-yard touchdown, I think, to go up, but I think he was literally scrambling around for 9 seconds around the pocket and everywhere and found the Virginia Tech wide receiver in the end zone, and there's your game. That was a really good game, but for the Big 12, they should have gotten that one. Let's see what's next here. I have a little greeting here from the Campanile, of course. All the all the KU alums are familiar with that sound here that we have coming there from the Campanile here at Kansas. So excuse me for that there, but next game, Texas 34, Texas Tech 24. Great game in Austin. If I'm a Texas fan, though, I could care less about that 16-point spread. I know they didn't look dominating, but, on a day that USC lost to Washington and, USC was number 3 in the country, not for long. Number 7 BYU eliminated from BCS. Dreams losing to Florida State. And on on a day that Florida looked beatable, I'm fine if I'm Texas right now. That's Mac Brown said after the game, it's survival at this point. Look, if UT wins all its games by this and doesn't blow anybody out, they're going to play for the BCS title, and I'm sure they'll blow some Big 12 opponents out in the process. So Texas Tech looked good. Taylor Potts looked really good. And, Colt McCoy had the flu earlier in the week, but, he played decently. Not his best game by any stretch of the imagination. But, if I'm Texas, next 2 games are at home. UTEP, Colorado. That's easily 5-0 going into Red River against OU. Still where the Longhorns want to be. That's no problem. I was, kind of interested in the running back development. Looks like Trey Newton is getting the majority of the carries now for UT. 20 carries, and Vondrell McGee only 4. So it looks like Trey Newton has taken over that #1 running back role for the Horns. And I think Dan Buckner's really emerged as a second threat in the passing game. They kind of have him playing out of that flex tight end role. He's kind of like a glorified tight end. I mean, he's really a wide receiver at heart, but they kind of have him playing inside there. And he's really emerged. He's had 5 catches the first week, 5 the second week, 6 on Saturday. He's really emerging because I don't really know who's #2 behind Jordan Shipley right now. Malcolm Williams hasn't stepped up yet like I thought he would. James Kirkendall, he had a big game against Wyoming, but then only 1 catch against Tech. So Dan Buckner was very impressed with him, but no problem with the Horns there in that victory. The last game I wanted to touch on here that I predicted right, Oklahoma, of course, 45, Tulsa 0. Not a hard one to predict, but a couple of storylines coming from this one that I wanted to discuss. Landry Jones filling in for the injured Sam Bradford. A school record 6 touchdown passes. Very impressive, but I want to talk about the OU defense. How about the Sooners? 2 straight shutouts. Bob Stoops said this had the potential to be one of the best defenses that he's ever had in Norman, and that's saying a lot. You take a look at their national title team that beat Florida State a couple years ago, and that was a team built on defense. So they've had some really good teams on defense, and that's saying a lot. 2 straight shutouts now for OU, and and this isn't just against no one either. I mean, Tulsa's offense led the nation in total offense the past 2 years. This is a team that can move the football down the field. Coming into this, and then even coming into this year, Tulsa went on the road and put up 37 points the first week, 44 points the second week, and a big donut against the Sooners. So I'm thinking this Sooners defense is certainly for real after that game. It was a very impressive performance. Jeremy Beal, watch that guy on the end. 3 sacks against Tulsa. You combine him with Gerald McCoy in the middle, and you're looking at 2 components that make up probably the most talented front in the country. Very impressive performance there by OU. The rest, we'll go over it real quick. Kansas, easy victory over Duke here right behind me yesterday. Texas A&M, closer than I thought, but victory over Utah State. Missouri with a rout of Furman, that was kind of obvious. Colorado, finally getting their first victory of the season, beating Wyoming 24-0. Their defense played really well. Oklahoma State breezes past Rice. Kind of easy to predict that one. Iowa State, pretty nice road win against Kent State. I think they needed that one because once Big 12 play starts, I don't know how many victories the Cyclones are going to be looking at, but that was a nice road victory there against Kent State. And then finally, UCLA taking care of business against K-State late on the West Coast in Los Angeles on Saturday. So 10-1, not too bad. Baylor, the only game that I missed. We'll see if I can start predicting the Bears games a little bit more accurate here in the future because I've missed both games that they've played in to date. So I think that'll do it, guys. Pretty exciting week here in week 3. Appreciate you checking out the latest edition of Conference Chatter TV, and I'll talk to you guys again next week. Thanks.